Maybe you haven't noticed, but the internet is flooded with indie developers talking about how hard game dev is. And that's probably because it is f***ing hard. It is hard. You gotta learn programming, art, music, sound design, level design, game feel, and the hundreds of intricacies that your game engine has. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg, because that's just the technical stuff. If you want to launch a successful game, then you're going to have to learn the art and science of marketing, which is a whole other beast. You need to get good at social media. You need to build a community. You have to hype your game up enough, but not too much, because you don't want what happened to the No Man's Sky developers to happen to you. You also need feedback, which means you have to withstand constant criticism of your work. And because you're always improving and you're always getting better, and it takes so long to make games, there's kind of this never-ending stream of old content in your game that makes you a little bit nauseous whenever you look at it, because you could be doing so much better now. But if you keep on remaking every single old thing, then you'll never actually make any new progress, so you have to decide what stays, what goes, and what to work on next. And of course, you need to balance your dev time with your work and all your other adult responsibilities, as well as get a good night's sleep and have fun, or you can burn out. You get it, right? That's just a few of the reasons why indie game development is hard. And of course, we all do it because we love making games. I'm not here to discourage anyone. But the reality of the situation is that game dev is difficult, and it will cause you some stress, and it will cause you to doubt your abilities more than anything else I've ever had any experience with in my life. And so when you put all of this together, it's very easy to see why so few developers actually manage to finish and publish their games. As you're working on your game, your motivation is going to get put through the ringer. And it's hard to put so much effort into something for years that makes you question your own abilities so much, while literally having zero guarantee of any kind of success. Now, I consider myself a programmer first and everything else second. And I think that's just because coding is one of my favorite parts of game development. And as a programmer, I like logic. I like rules. What are the do's and don'ts? If I know these things, then I have my parameters and I can operate well within that space. And so I've tried on many occasions to try to put my finger on what exactly is the secret to finishing a game. So many people out there have already done it. But for every one dev that actually finished and published their game, there are another 1,000 developers that did not finish. And I've wanted to know, what does that one developer have that the other 1,000 don't? Is there some rule that they follow in terms of how they actually approach their work? Or is it a mental thing where they just have a lot of grit and a lot of willpower? How do these successful developers actually finish their game, and how do they push through the hard times? I've interviewed a lot of developers on this channel. I've also watched a lot of successful developers like Thomas Brush, Jonas Tyroller, Blackthorn Prod, Thin Matrix, Code Monkey, and many more over the years. They finished their games despite a lot of struggle and delays and hardships. And I'm very familiar with the battle of motivation going up and down and productivity going up and down. And when I put all of these things together, I think I have it nailed down. So before we start talking about solutions, let's talk about actual concrete problems that we want to solve. Because quitting your game or just making really slow progress is kind of vague. So here are a few problems that you might be experiencing, or you might expect to experience in the future. You have creative block. You sit down at your computer and you just don't have any inspiring ideas and you don't know what to work on. You have too many ideas, and your fleeting excitement that bounces from thing to thing makes you wonder if you have ADHD, because it's all over the place. You have no motivation to work on your game. You know what you have to do, you just can't bring yourself to do it. You have a little bit too much motivation and it's affecting other areas of your life negatively. Like maybe your family is feeling neglected because you're dumping all of your free time into your game. Now you not only feel like you're battling your own internal struggles with your own abilities, but now you feel like you're failing your loved ones as well. Or maybe you're bored with your game, or you feel like you hate it and you just don't know how to fix that. Or you don't feel competent enough to make a game that actually sells well. Or you got negative feedback on your game that is far worse than anything you had ever anticipated, and you don't know what to do next. And if what you're struggling with is not included in that list, let us know what your biggest hurdle is, what your biggest struggle is down below in the comments. But those are some of the most common struggles that I'm aware of that you may end up struggling with at some point in your own game dev journey. So what can we actually do, and what have other successful developers in the past done when they dealt with these struggles? Did they quit and start a new game? Did they just keep on working despite really not wanting to and just kind of power through? Did they take a break or go on vacation to recharge or gain new creative energy? And I'm sure you can already guess the answer. It depends, because it can't possibly just be one universal thing. But I'm not done. We'll go a little bit deeper into this. I want to talk about burnout for a second though, because if I sit here and I give you advice to just power through and keep working when you are on the verge of burnout or you really are in desperate need of a break, then I'm doing you a huge disservice. If you have even a small suspicion that you might be burnt out, that is a good indicator to take a look at your situation much more closely. It is difficult to recognize because you probably, if you're like me, you assume it won't happen to you. I am still working through a period of my own burnout. Up until very recently, I was posting 2 videos on this channel every single week and trying like hell to make progress on my game in between those videos. Long story short, now we only do 1 video a week. I've actually been playing a lot of video games in the evening when I could be using that time to be working on my game. It's not because I'm lazy or because I just don't feel like working on my game and I should probably just suck it up a little bit. It's because I have been experiencing burnout and I am trying to force myself to slow down a little bit, to recharge and to get inspired again, and it is helping a lot. Burnout does not always manifest in super obvious ways. So just keep a close eye on how you are doing mentally and allow yourself some time off, some guilt-free time off when you need it. Okay, I really wanted to open with that because taking care of yourself is the most important thing. Now, with that being said, there is a big difference between being burnt out and needing time away from your game and just not feeling like working on your game that day. So here's what I have found. Burnout sucks all the fun and joy out of a project. There's nothing positive left. You hate it. You are not having fun and you have nothing good to say about it. You know somewhere in the back of your mind that you love making games, or it used to feel that way, but you're not feeling that way now, and maybe you haven't felt that way for a while. Now, in contrast, for me, just simply not wanting to work on my game, I usually find there's something blocking the fun when that's the case. There's some big pain in the butt feature that needs to be added, or something is ugly and I don't quite know how to fix it, or some game mechanic is broken or not working the way that I want and it's going to be a big pain to fix it. But beyond those things that don't seem very fun, that are staring me in the face, there is fun beyond that. And I know I'm in that place when I boot up Unity and I'm looking at my game and there are certain parts of the game that I'm completely just not willing to look at, and I'm tinkering with other stuff that ultimately doesn't matter too much. So the method that I want to pass on to you guys is this. Work on the stuff that is stressing you out. Just get it done. If there's one giant mechanic to fix, or your game hook is not as solid as it should be, or you don't know 100% of your game story so you don't really know where your game is actually going, whatever it is, that big missing or broken or ugly piece needs to be fixed. You will feel and be the most productive when you tackle that hard stuff first. And then you get to enjoy all the fun stuff afterwards guilt-free. Procrastinating the hard stuff makes you feel guilty. You'll recognize it. It comes with a lot of negative stuff. So that's the do. Do the hard stuff that doesn't sound like very much fun, but it's going to make you feel so much better when it's actually done. The don't is, don't be too rigid with yourself about everything. You are going to have down days, and on some of those days, it might be best if you actually let yourself work on something fun, and to save the harder stuff when you're feeling a little more inspired or a little more creative. Everything with this is a balance. You have to be rigid enough with yourself to do the hard stuff, but you need to be flexible enough to allow yourself to work on something fun or take a day off if you really need it. As artists, we have to toe the line between enjoying the journey and finding the fun along the way, while also doing the hard work that we don't always necessarily want to do. If you can do that and keep that up for enough days, your game will get done and it will not break you along the way. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Bye.